What's up, everyone? Welcome back to WXSU. This is JjLee back with the JjLee Hockey Show finally. I apologize for the long absence. I've not done this show in almost a month. I just had a very hectic past month. Just like a quick, I guess, recap of it. Last week I had two papers due on Sunday and Monday, so I didn't have time to get together. 2 weeks ago, I actually was not here. I went to or I wasn't on campus. I went to see the Caps' first game of the playoffs, which was worth it. Got to see Ovi's first career playoff overtime goal, but that's why I didn't do it the week before. And then the week before that, I had another big assignment due. So basically, I've been very busy the past month. Unfortunately, haven't had time to really, because the show takes a couple of hours to get together and stuff. So I just haven't had time to get together and everything. But I'm back now. I want to talk about the playoffs as well as some other stuff because there's a lot of stuff kind of like when I got back from winter break into the show for the first time since then. I just, there's a lot of stuff that happened when I wasn't doing the show, and I kind of wanted to go over some of it, not all of it, because a lot of it is old now. But there's just some stuff that I didn't want to just not talk about. So I'm gonna talk about some of this stuff, and then I'll hopefully be able to talk about the playoffs that just happened. The first round just concluded. We have second round tonight, so I'll be able to hopefully talk about that too. But let's get into it. Since I've not done the show since my last episode was talking about Ovechkin breaking the record, which was now almost a month ago. We did get something some news from DC's mayor Muriel Bowser that April 11th is now Alex Ovechkin Day in DC, which my new favorite holiday. Just amazing the impact that he's had on the city of DC on the Caps organization. Now now the all-time leading goal scorer in hockey, just an absolute legend on and off the ice. Greatest cap and probably greatest DC athlete, or actually not even probably, he is the greatest DC athlete of all time in my opinion. One of the greatest all-time NHL players, so I think definitely deserving of having his day in DC. And like I said, new favorite holiday, April 11th, Alex Ovechkin Day. We got a quote from Ovechkin shortly afterward. And he said, because obviously people have been like, oh, he's trying to chase a record. Oh, he doesn't care about the team and everything. And yeah, he's when they're talking about his accomplishment and stuff, he says, quote, "It's not me, we did it." Meaning like he's basically saying he could not have done it without his team, just like proving that he knows this is a team sport and he agrees this is a team sport that like he said there he cannot have done it without his teammates and like he really appreciates them and admires them for helping him get to where he is. Moving on though, we got some concerning news, I'd say, from the KHL. Evgeny Kuznetsov, obviously a former Cap, former NHLer who went to the KHL this season. We thought that that's where he was going to be for the remainder of his hockey career, but yet him and SK St. Petersburg have agreed to a mutual contract termination back last month. And this is really concerning because, like I said, it looks like this was where he was going to be for the rest of his career. It looks like he was enjoying himself there and everything. But a mutual contract termination, that means the team not agreed to, or not the team. Sorry, the team agreed to it. Like Kuznetsov was interested in leaving, and the team was also agreed to terminate the contract. That's concerning because we know that he's had a lot of off-ice issues, and I think it's pretty clear right now that something is definitely going on off the ice for him because he just left Carolina out of nowhere last season, left the NHL, decided he wants to go back to the KHL, and then now it looks like he was having fun in Carolina too, that he was enjoying the game again, but then he leaves and goes to the KHL. Looks like he was enjoying it there, and now we have this. I've not heard anything since this update on Kuznetsov, but I'm just really hoping that the guy's okay. Just best wishes and prayers to him because it seems pretty clear there's something going on off the ice for him. Next, Ivan Demidov signed his his entry-level contract, obviously coming over from the KHL from SK St. Petersburg as well. In the regular season, only played 2 games, had a goal and an assist in his debut, so 2 points in his NHL debut. Playoffs had 2 assists for 2 points in 5 games for Montreal. Obviously still has some developing to do, but you can already tell this kid's going to be a stud. He's definitely high in the race to the Calder next year. But Yeah, kid's a future star for sure. Just give him time. Montreal's future's looking amazing. They've got Caulfield still pretty young, Suzuki, Slavkovsky, Cole Hudson. Cole Hudson's on the Caps. Lane Hudson, um, you know, Demidov. Just future looks so bright for Montreal. Coming from a Caps fan that obviously series got heated and everything. Very happy the Caps won the series, which they're the better team and stuff. They should have won the series, but Montreal, but like just all the Montreal fans though, their future's looking amazing. It's just a matter of time before they fully break out. They should only go up from here. They surprised everyone this season, and it's only going to get better for them. Next, we saw the Hurricanes sign another player from the KHL. I'm pretty sure he played for the SK St. Petersburg as well. Just so many players from that team. Alexander Nikishkin signed a 2-year entry-level contract worth $925,000 a year. And I didn't follow the story up too well, but I know they had like some difficulty getting him over here. Like there were concerns on whether or not they were going to be able to get him signed and stuff, but they got it done. It's just crazy how sometimes these players come over from Russia, just with unfortunately with all the politics and stuff, and just the country being so like different from ours and being so like, far away and everything. They had difficulty getting them out of Russia and getting them over to the United States or to Canada, like basically to North America. So it is good to see that they were finally able to get him over, and that he'll be able to start his NHL career now. We got kind of an interesting story, or like the topic here is that this was the first time in NHL history that the Boston Bruins, Pittsburgh Penguins, and New York Rangers all missed the playoffs of the same season. Keep in mind, 2 of these teams are original 6. The Penguins have also been around for over 50 years, and this is the first time that all 3 of them have missed the playoffs in the same season. Because all of them have been like Penguins weren't original 6, but they came like in the first expansion, and they've been one of the most successful franchises in the NHL. I have to admit, even as a Caps fans, they might be the most successful. Them or the Oilers, might be the most successful non-original 6 franchise. So you got that. You got the Bruins, who have still been very successful. Rangers are obviously the least successful original 6 franchise, but still they've been a consistent playoff team for so many years of their franchise. So the fact that this is for the first time all three missed the playoffs is just crazy. The Rangers finished 5th in the Metro this year with a 39, 36, and 7 record for 85 points. The Penguins finished 7th in the Metro with a 34, 36, and 12 record for 80 points. And the Bruins finished 8th in the Atlantic with a 33, 39, and 10 record, 76 points. Just the fact that 2 of these teams, I mean, Penguins weren't expected to be good, but the Rangers and the Bruins were considered playoff locks before the season. So the fact that they're missing the playoffs, both of them missing the playoffs, is just very disappointing for both teams. Both are the future's looking a little blurry for them right now, because Rangers, clearly something's going on. I mean, their core is getting older now, and there's clearly something going on off the ice with their core too. Like their core just can't get it done. They just seem like they have motivation issues, and they're just not built for the playoffs, or in this case, they couldn't even make the playoffs. Like there's just something going on within their core that seems like needs to be addressed, and it just hasn't been addressed yet by Drury. And I'm also starting to think that this core might be too far gone to really do something. Like they just have to blow up the core, I feel like. Just like they like the fact that they won the President's Trophy last year, and like fell off this hard, because they also started off the season really good. It looked like they were once again going to be the playoff lock that they were expected to be, and then just out of nowhere, they just completely fell apart. There was so many reports of stuff going on in the locker room, players being against Chris Drury, the general manager, and I'm not sure how to really fix this team. right now because on paper they should be doing better, but they just so many of the players are underperforming, aren't playing well together. It's just a hot mess in New York. And then the Bruins, I feel like yes, it was very disappointing, but it's a little more. I think it's a little more understandable for them to see them fall off than the Rangers because they did have a lot of older players like Marchand who eventually got traded, which was crazy to see Marchand play somewhere else. But Marchand just wasn't what he used to be. They lost Bergeron, Krejci the past couple of years, but I think the Bruins could also be fixed a little better than the Rangers because the Bruins also had a lot of down years happen. McAvoy wasn't having his best year. Also, McAvoy and Lindholm were injured. Lindholm missed most of the season. McAvoy missed since the Four Nations. Not having your two best defensemen in the lineup is also very hard to deal with. But Swayman also had a huge down year. He's usually a top 10 goal in the league. This year he was not. He was flat bad. So I think he will bounce back though. So that's the thing. The Bruins had a lot of players had down years on the Bruins, and I think that they will bounce back. Not bounce back as far as being back in the playoffs next year because the Atlantic will be very, very competitive, but I think they will be better next year than this year. I think that this year was just so much went wrong for them. So many players had down years, and it just fell apart this year. But yeah, I'm not sure I see them being able to make the playoffs next year though, just because it's going to be so tight in the Atlantic. Florida's going to be up there. Toronto's going to be up there. Tampa, they honestly might be regressing. It's crazy to think of the Lightning not being in the playoffs, but they're just not. I mean, I thought this year they were going to be back to being a big contender, and they still lost to Florida in 5 games. So I'm not even sure I consider them a playoff lock next year at this point. But because once again, then you have Ottawa is getting better. Montreal's getting better. Buffalo, I would think they're just a pathetic franchise right now. But I would think with all the young players they have, all the talent on the team, they've got to at least somewhat break out eventually. The Bruins are not going to have an easy time making it back to the playoffs next year. It's just crazy how much things have turned for them since that historic 2022-23 season just 2 short years ago. And it just goes to show how quickly things can change over the course of a few years. They've lost a lot of pieces. So much of their core has gotten older, and it just really shows this year. Some teams just, they age suddenly catches up with them, and things just all go wrong for them. And that's what happens with the Bruins this year. Is they just everything caught up with them, everything went wrong for them, and finished 8th in the division for one of the few times in their entire franchise history. Which, as a team that's been around for almost over 100 years now. Yeah, just crazy that how bad this season really was for them. Moving on, we saw some players who played their final games. Alec Martinez and Patrick Maroon played their last games. For Martinez, 862 games played, 88 goals, 201 assists for 289 points. Had 597 games played with the Kings, 221 with the Golden Knights, and 44 with the Blackhawks. So very, very solid career for him. Basically a top 4 defenseman most of his career. Obviously scored that historic get overtime winner for LA in 2014 to win the Stanley Cup. Never was like a Norris level guy, but always was a good top 4 defenseman that any contender would want on their team in the playoffs. And finishing his career in Chicago obviously did not make the playoffs, but huge part for LA over the years in their cup, and then played a big role for Vegas too. Sorry, just had to get a sip of water real quick. Next, we saw Patrick Maroon in his career, 848 games played, 126 goals, 197 assists for 323 points, 204 games played with the Ducks, 154 with the Oilers, 17 with the Devils, 74 with the Blues, which obviously won the Stanley Cup that year, the Blues. 280 with the Lightning, which won 2 cups in Tampa Bay over 4 years. And then 49 with the Wild, 2 with the Bruins, and 68 with the Blackhawks. So, another guy who won multiple cups, and obviously the cups were just because of the team he was on. Like, he wasn't that, like, key of a player, but still, I say the team has to have, like, the team has to be complete to win a cup. Like, it has to be everyone, not just the stars. And Maroon was the type of, like, gritty guy you want in your bottom six as a contender in the playoffs. So, of course, not a star that, like, got his team 3 cups, but to beat tough. But it was pretty cool to see how he, like, just got lucky being on the right team every year to win the Stanley Cup, because he literally leaves the Blues after they win the Cup and then goes to the Lightning. They win that year and then the year after. So just he got to play a good role in those Cups too, like I just said. Like, good solid depth role, which you do need in the playoffs. You need grit to set the tone and to try and get all the grindy stuff done. And Maroon would do that for the Lightning and the Blues. Next, we saw Logan Couture retire as well. In his career, 933 games played, 323 goals, 378 assists for 701 points, all the San Jose Sharks. So played his entire career with one team. Never won any awards, but he was always, like, consistent, like, number one center for, I'd say, until, like, a couple of years ago. He was always, like, consistent number one center for a majority of the 2010s, or number one center level, because obviously the Sharks had Joe Thornton as well, but he was a legit, like, top 20 center or top 30 center for, like, so many years. And congratulations to him, Maroon, and Martinez, all in their retirements. Great careers. And yeah, that's all I really have to say is great careers for all of them, and best of luck in retirement. Speaking of the Sharks, we also got the news, so they will not be re-signing Alexander Georgiev this offseason. Obviously, Georgiev was traded to the Sharks from the Avalanche in, like, November. And, I mean, numbers aren't looking good for him this season. He had an .875 save percentage and a 3.71 goals against average. 2023-24, .897 save percentage and a 3.02 goals against average. And 2022-23, .918 save percentage and 2.53 goals against average, which I said at the time he was so overrated. People were thinking that, he should be he's an all-star goalie, or he should be in the Vezina, maybe get some Vezina votes even. Like, I'm like, no, he's not that. I said at the time it was mostly just because of the defense he had in Colorado in front of him, and not him being that good of a goalie himself. And then it really showed last year. Still a very good Avalanche team, but his numbers really fell off. And then this year fell off again. Just was playing absolutely terrible. And I can't imagine the market being that big on him, just because they've seen that season kind of was a fluke. His first season as a full-time starter in Colorado in 2022-23 kind of was a fluke. And then as he's just gotten worse and worse, goes to San Jose, gets worse. And then we see Mackenzie Blackwood go the other way to Colorado, and he started doing really good. So just not a good look for Georgiev, and I can't see too many teams really wanting him right now. Moving on, we saw, going back to what I was talking about, the Bruins having a disappointing season. Elias Lindholm, one of the base disappointments for them this year, signed him in the offseason and did not do as good as they hoped. He played the entire season with a back injury, according to Ty Anderson. And I think that he might be able to bounce back next year, but at the same time, look at his numbers as a whole. 2024-25, 47 points in 82 games. Basically like a low-end second-line center. 2023-24, 44 points in 75 games. I know points, like, aren't everything, but he used to be, like, good defensively too, and he's not even been that this year. 2022, 23. This is where he this is from where he really dropped off from this season to last season. 2022, 23, 80 games played, 64 points, and in 2021, 22, 82 games played, 82 points. So he was a really good second line center, good first line center some years in Calgary. But then after leaving Calgary, he kind of fell off. And last year was maybe a little more understandable because the Flames were not good at all. Then he gets traded. But this year, still on a Bruins team that was really counting on him, still did not do very well. Of course, like I said, play with a back injury, but just the way he's been trending the past couple of years just isn't encouraging right now. And the Bruins signed him to a long-term contract as well. I forget how many years, but not good. Not looking good for the Bruins with Elias Lindholm. I'm going to take a break for a few minutes. I'm kind of out of breath right now, so I'll take a break, play some music, and I'll be back in a few minutes. All right, I'm back now. I'm just going to continue talking about all the stuff I wanted to catch up on this episode. We saw Ovi confirm that he's not retiring. Of course, most of us already knew this, but there were some people still speculating that he might retire after the season, especially after he broke the goal record. And we saw Wes Crosby ask Ovechkin if it was important to go against Sidney Crosby one more time. And Ovechkin says, quote, "I'm not retiring." So, I mean, like I said, we already knew he wasn't going to retire pretty much, or most people knew, but it was just nice to hear that confirmation from him, just confirming he's not retiring. So people will just, shut up talking about it. Just be like, oh, he broke the goal record, he might retire. Oh, maybe if the Caps win the Stanley Cup this year, he might retire. And he's just confirmed there. No, I'm not retiring. I'm definitely playing at least one more year. Next, we got from the Rangers PR reported when the New York, or they were the ones who reported it first. Of course, other reports came out and everyone just knows about now. When they fired head coach Pierre Laviolette a couple weeks ago. Just no surprises here. Last year, obviously won the President's Trophy with a 55, 23, and 4 record for 114 points, but this season fell off real hard. 33. 39, 36, and 7 record for a total of 85 points. That's like a 30-point drop, 29-point drop off. If I'm doing my math right, that's like a 29-point drop off. And just Rangers became a hot mess this year. No one was really surprised by this either, because we also got a quote from him in one of the last games of the season. It was against the Lightning. They lost, I'm pretty sure, 5-1. And it says, and the quote was from Pierre Laviolette after that game was, quote, "I don't have a message right now. I don't go into the locker room after the game." Basically, the head coach was not going into the locker room after the game. Pretty much just quitting on the team, not doing his job. It was clear that he was going to get fired. I think he pretty much knew I think he was just giving up, which, I mean, in my opinion, you shouldn't do. You are the coach. You're supposed to be the professional. You're supposed to be the father figure of the team. But it's it just seems like the players gave up, and therefore he just gave up. He knew he was getting fired. It'll be interesting to see if anyone else hires him. I personally wouldn't. I mean, I like him. Seems like seems like a cool guy and stuff. But I kind of feel bad for him that his career has fallen off. But it just seems like he's one of those coaches that was great back in the day. Obviously won a Stanley Cup with the Hurricanes. Had made 2 more Stanley Cup final appearances since then, but his last time to the Stanley Cup final was 2017. He's not done anything notable since then. I mean, he got the Predators to a President's Trophy in 2018, but since then, nothing really special. And I think he's just one of those coaches where the time has passed for him. Great back in the day, but he is definitely out of his prime now, and he doesn't seem like he's been able to adjust to the to the era changing and to the times changing. So, interesting to see if he'll get hired again, but I honestly doubt it. Unfortunately, just unfortunate part of being a coach is just so much changing with you. I mean, this is overall part in sports. For players too. The game's constantly changing, so if you can't adjust, then you're kind of out of luck right there. But I just mentioned a little while ago how the Rangers season was a hot mess. There's literally no surprise here with the coaching change. They did hire Mike Sullivan last week after he was released by the Penguins, or I guess I should talk about the Penguins firing Sullivan too. First, Penguins obviously this season finished 7th in the Metro, had a total of 80 points with a 34, 36, and 12 record. And the Penguins PR first reported this. I didn't see this part, but my dad was telling me that there were sources that said that Sullivan wasn't like full on fired. Like he also agreed like he didn't want to stay there anymore. So I mean, I really can't blame him for that because the Penguins are clearly just an old and washed team. Crosby's still amazing. Malkin's still pretty good. I think he's better than he gets credit for. Like, no, he's not a superstar anymore, but he's probably like one of the better second line centers you can have in the league. But the fact that they still, I mean, Aaron Carter-Rakell had an underrated season in my opinion, but just the fact they're still not, they've got that. They still have like Crosby playing amazing. Malkin's still pretty good. Rakell's a good first liner. And they still can't make the playoffs or finish higher than 7th in the division because the rest of their team is like pretty shallow. It just, but it's not looking good for the Penguins because Crosby and Malkin are now in their late 30s. They're going to retire in a few years, and they really don't have any promising prospects to show otherwise that they could. I mean, there's some good young guys in the system that they drafted over the past few years as they missed the playoffs, but no, like their prospect pool is not very promising, and there's no like prospects that stand out like, oh, he's gonna be the next like star of this team, whatever. So yeah, it's looking like a dark next decade in Pittsburgh. However, I have to point out 2 short years ago, the Caps were looking like they had one of the worst futures, and they just kind of like retooled on the go, drafted really well and everything, and now they're looking great for the next decade suddenly, like a complete 180 in their future over the past 2 years. But I've also pointed out that is not the norm. They have gotten a good amount of luck there, and it's going to be hard for a lot of teams to replicate it. But I'm not just going to sit here and say, oh yeah, the Penguins next decade is definitely going to be dark when the Caps literally just turned theirs around in the course of 2 years. But now I got that talked about Mike Sullivan firing, after Pierre Laviolette firing. Now we're going to have, or relieved of his duties, I should say. I'm not going to get into, where is it? The Rangers hiring Mike Sullivan. I think he was the best coach in the market by far. I think he is still definitely a great coach. It's just the Penguins core just kind of aged out. The issue is, I said to the Rangers, their team is there's something going on behind the scenes with their team. And I'm not sure, even a coach like Mike Sullivan, I'm not sure how much he can really fix, because this team's going to need a lot done to get them fixed. They're going to have to like blow up the core. I feel like, or even if they don't blow up the core, they're going to have to trade some other guys. But another thing too is who's going to want some of their contracts. Panarin's contract, I don't think anyone's going to want. He's the 4th highest paid player in the league. I think it was $11.5 million, I want to say. And he has, is he a free agent after next season? He might be, so maybe I can't believe that's crazy, because he signed a 7-year contract and it felt like it was going to go on forever, but maybe not. They might be able to get something for him next year. It's gonna be hard to trade that cap hit. They're definitely going to need to retain some salary if they do want to commit to a retool. But they might be able to trade him. But no one's gonna want the Zibanejad contract or the Kreider contract. Igor's now locked up for 8 years. We'll see if he can bounce back, because he had disappointing season as well. Just so much. The Rangers are just a hot mess right now that Mike Sullivan's walking into, and he's a great coach, like I said. So we'll see what he can do, but it's not. He can only do so much as the coach, and I'm not sure if the Rangers are really they might be beyond like fixing for Mike Sullivan. He needs to, they're really going to need to change something if they want to get back to contending. Because, and then speaking of which too, shortly after the Peter Laviolette firing, the Rangers extended GM Chris Drury multiple years, which a lot of Rangers fans were not happy about that either, which I can't really blame them. They have had success under his tenure, but he's made a lot of questionable moves, like handing out some of these contracts to Mika Zibanejad that not age well, made some like he made some bad moves, but also like did not make enough like moves at certain times. Like the trade deadline last year got Alex Wemberg for their assets. Like that wasn't enough that wasn't enough. President's Trophy team makes it to conference finals, but if he had done more, they maybe could have won the cup. Trying to think of some of his big trades that he's messed up on. Like I feel like I could have thought of it like, I could have thought about all the bad trades he's made before I got on here, but now I'm on here talking about it. And I can't remember any of them, but he just has not done a great job in New York. I'd say some of the off-ice issues for the team are due to him. So we'll see I am a little surprised the Rangers extended him. I mean, not really. They've made a lot of bad moves over the past couple of years, but yeah, multiple years left for Chris Drury in New York, and it'll be interesting to see how the team does with him and Mike Sullivan being the new coach. I think some of it's beneficial, but I'm not sure they're good enough to really contend. So the question is, are they just going to end up being one of those mediocre teams the next several years until they finally decide to commit to a rebuild? Probably would buy Chris Drury at that point, and maybe some other guys too. But can move on now. We saw Oliver Bjorkstrand miss the entire first round for Tampa Bay, which was brutal for them. They gave up assets again at the deadline. Him and Yanni Gourde. And since joining Tampa, he had 18 games played, 5 goals, 4 assists for 9 points, so basically half a point per game. Solid middle six guy. And Tampa really has a questionable future as well, because we thought for sure that they were going to be back to their contender self this year, even if they did not make it past Florida. We thought for sure like that they're going 7 games and they won, and they lost in 5 games. Florida was like clearly more dominant, better team, and now it really makes you question: is Tampa's window really closed? As Kucherov's like 31 or 32 at this point, Hedman's like 34 or 35. Vasilevsky even isn't what he used to be. I mean, he's still a great goalie, but remember, he used to be by far like a beast in net, be by far the best goalie in the league, and he's not been that. He's not that anymore. And it really makes you question: has Tampa's heyday really passed now? Kucherov, I saw something, has like 0 goals in his past 15 games, which is crazy. The fact that he used to be this huge playoff performer. I mean, still is a great playmaker and stuff, but you do have to put the puck in the net sometimes. And he's 0 goals in his past 15 playoff games is crazy for a player of his caliber. Next, we saw the Anaheim Ducks fire head coach Greg Cronin. This season, the Ducks had 80 points, 35, 37, 10 record, which was a huge improvement from last season where they had 27, 50, and 5 record for 59 points. So that's a 21-point increase. However, you also have to remember that they are a young team that's getting better, that's going to get better naturally by like players developing. So it seems like maybe it was more the player development, the players getting better that got them there than the coaching itself. So it's also important to make sure that you have the right coach for teams that are young and developing, upcoming, that you have the right coach to take you where you want to go, work with the players you have. And I mean, I've not really followed the Ducks too closely this year, but I guess just behind the scenes, Cronin, they felt like wasn't the guy for them, and they decided to part ways. So it'll be interesting to see how the Ducks do next year. I think they're going to take another step forward, but not with Cronin behind the bench. Next, it was reported that San Jose, this was reported by Sheng Peng, San Jose is reportedly willing to trade the first overall pick if they win the draft lottery, which actually is a smart move because, first overall pick's very valuable, but it's not as hot as the draft class this year. Clearly, it's not as exciting and good as the draft classes from the previous 2 years. And I really think that, they've got Celebrini, they've got Will Smith, they've got William Eklund, they've got Quentin Musty, Sam Dickinson, Yaroslav Askarov, and that. Like, they've already got like such a young core upcoming, so maybe it's better for them to trade the first overall pick and get some like veteran presence in response or in return, like a veteran guy who's still pretty good, so that he can be like a leader for them, especially now their captain's retiring. Be a leader for them, and help bring this young core out of the rebuild, and they can be dangerous. Maybe that veteran will still be a pretty good player when they're back to be a playoff team, depending on how old he is now. But I think it would be smart maybe to trade the first overall pick, get some other assets for them, since they already have such a electric young core. But seeing some of the offers for that first overall pick would be amazing. Just seeing their what was I gonna say? Yeah, just seeing the offers that they get for the first overall pick would be pretty cool to see. Some teams obviously would offer a boatload for them for the first overall pick, but I definitely think they could still get a very good veteran plus a pick or a prospect or both in this trade for the number 1 overall pick. Speaking of which, the draft lottery is tonight. We'll see who wins it. Let me see double check with the current odds are for the lottery. So it says here San Jose has the best odds with an 18.5%. Chicago is second with a 13.5%. Nashville's third with 11.5%. Philly's fourth with a 9.5%. Boston's fifth with an 8.5%, which seeing Boston in that conversation feels crazy to talk about. Seattle's sixth with a 7.5%. Buffalo's seventh with a 6.5%. Anaheim's eighth with a 6.0%. Pittsburgh's ninth with a 5.0%. Rangers are 10th with a Islanders are 10th with a 3.5%, and Rangers are 11th with a 3.0%. Sorry, thought that was the end of the list because sometimes they don't always talk about like the teams that barely missed the playoffs from the wild card. But Detroit's 11th with 2.5%. Columbus is 12th with a 2.0%. Utah Hockey Club is 13th with a 1.5%. Vancouver is 14th with a 0.5%, and Calgary is last in the teams that could get the first overall pick with a 0.5%. So it's looking like it's likely to be one of San Jose, Chicago, or Nashville. I'd probably want to see Nashville get most just because Chicago and San Jose have already had it past couple of years and are building good cores. But it's always interesting. It's always exciting to watch the draft lottery and see who gets the number 1 overall pick. But I think there is a good chance San Jose gets it, which if they do, it'll be really interesting to see all the trade offers, like I said. We saw too, the Islanders decided not to bring back GM Lou Lamoriello, who obviously Islanders fans were so excited about that. He's done some bad moves recently. Back in like 2020, back from like the 2018 to 2021 era, pretty good team. Did a lot. Looks like the Islanders were like massively overachieving and stuff, but then fell off in 2021-22, just had 84 points. 2022-23 had 93 points, and 2023-24 had 94 points. So those 2 years, they did make the playoffs for the wild card spot, but we knew they weren't going anywhere. They're such a mid team as a whole. Like they made the wild card spot, but weren't going to go anywhere. And then this year, 2024-25, 82 points, the worst of the 4 years that they've been very painfully mid. And I mean, you look at Lou, always missed out on some of the big names that the Islanders were in the race for. Traded for Bo Horvat and signed to such a long contract. Handed out some other like really lengthy contracts that were not going to age well. Talk about their future. Traded a 13th overall pick for Alexander Romanov in 2022. That was such a bad trade. Like, Romanov's a good defenseman, but I would not have traded the 13th overall pick with the future of the Islanders. I would not trade the 13th overall pick for Romanov in the 2022 draft. So, yeah, he's really messed with their future. It's looking like they might be better now that he's gone, that he won't be continuing to manage their future, but they definitely have a hole that they're in that they need to get themselves out of due to this. We saw Gabriel Landeskog finally come back in the first round after missing 3 years from a knee injury, having a knee surgery. He had 1 goal and 3 assists for 4 points in 5 games. I thought this was amazing. I said previously I didn't think he was going to come back. I thought it was going to be too hard for him, which I said I didn't think he would, but I said it would be amazing if he did, and he has now. It's just incredible to watch, just putting up 4 points in 5 games after not playing for 3 years like that. It's insane. Just so much respect to his dedication, his commitment, his hard work, and it's absolutely incredible. I'm kind of just touching on it now because I'm running out of time. We had a pretty big scare with Logan Thompson in the first round because I want to talk about this as well. He came back from his injury right before the playoffs, plays 2 games really well. Then game 3 gets run into by Dylan Strome, some friendly fire there. And the way it looked, his leg kind of bent awkwardly. It looked like he had severely injured his leg, like tore something or whatever. He was falling over and stuff. It looked like he was just in so much pain. And everyone was so concerned, including me. We thought that he might miss the entire rest of the playoffs. Then 2 days later, before game 4, we get the update that he was skating at morning skate. It would be a game time decision. Plays in game 4 and gets the Caps to win. And it was just like so shocking to see after it would look like a playoff and the injury, but then we got the news. He said a few days later, that it was never his. I mean, I'm sure his leg hurt because he couldn't really stand on it, but it was never his leg that was in that much pain. It's that when he fell, he also like hit like the back of his head, which the back of a goalie mask doesn't have as much protection, so he was also feeling a little wobbly, a little dizzy from that. So I'd say this was definitely the definition of an injury that looked a lot worse than it was, which thankfully so. It was just so crazy seeing him back after, like Montreal fans were saying too. That was so sad to watch. Hopefully everything like that. It just looked so, he looked like he was in so much pain, and now he came back 2 days later. Just huge shock for everyone. But unfortunately, I think I'm out of time now. I want to thank you guys for listening. Sorry that I was absent for so long from this. Hopefully that won't happen again. But thank you for listening, and I'll see you next week.